I wanted to show just some examples Ron provides here on the website. These are all available at rjmmusic.com. And if you head to the micro line mixer page, these manuals are all a part of what is available to any customer. And he shows a couple of different versions of what's capable. I think one thing that is worth talking about is sort of the confusion of connection, because I know a lot of people that
Yeah.
see the line mixers, they're not quite sure about how they're configured because they only see these inputs for the wet. They're like, what do I do with the input into the pedal that the output of those pedals is feeding this mixer? So just to give you a visual, what you see here in terms of wet 1, 2, and 3, those are only capturing the outputs of your wet effect. So let's pretend, for example, for this fictitious person, they're using a eventide micro pitch, they're using a Strymon Big Sky, and they're using a eventide H9. They have those three effects. So those are all going stereo into wet 1, 2, and 3. And again, for parallel, just for listeners out there, it does not matter the order. Since it's all in parallel, they're all receiving the same signal at the same time. The order is irrelevant now. So you don't need to have any sort of concerted order in the signal path once these are in the mixers. The challenge, however, is you only have the outputs plugged in. So a lot of people are like, well, what the heck happens to the inputs? What do I do?
Yeah,
Is
the
there just
returns.
some Bluetooth mystery that's getting these in? So Ron shows here an example of what to do. So you can see on the right side, if you're viewing this, that he has a sort of mocked up Mastermind PBC 6X. And the sends are feeding each one of these effects that are wired into the mixer. And this is in essence just to mute the inputs of those effects. So when you want it engaged, you can set your switcher to engage that particular loop, and it's going to be sending those effects into the mixer and making them live. This is different than if you had them sort of looped into their own send and returns. You don't need to do that for this. The send is coming out of the switcher, the return is going into the mixer, and then the mixer is mixing however many lines are coming into it and then giving you a stereo output. Ron, is there anything that you would add or modify about that description in terms of the way that the signal gets to the mixer and the usage of a switcher as a way to mute the inputs only by way of the send, not using the returns?